Welcome everyone to the game between Hikaru Nakamura and Wei Yi at round 4 of the FIDE Candidates 2026. The position is dead equal. Pieces have all been exchanged and now we are down to the major piece endgame where both sides have 2 rooks and queens and 4 pawns each. So it seems like the a6 pawn is weak, but so is the b2 pawn. So both are weak and the players will trade. Most likely it's black to move. Hikaru played the Dragdorf, which is the dragon plus Najdorf. He gives a check on b6. Queen comes back to d4. And now queen takes queen, rook takes. The only thing that Wei Yi must take care of is his time. He has 2 minutes on the clock while Hikaru has 14 minutes. But Wei Yi is moving quickly. He takes rook c8 and now Hikaru is threatening rook c1 with a mate. So that has to be taken care of, and maybe the best move now is to simply push your pawn to h4. And that is exactly what Wei Yi is planning. He goes pawn to h4. And Wei Yi seems to be out of the woods. He's drinking water there. Rook c2 played. And now just simply switch your rook over to g4 square. Defending the pawn on g2. But you can feel it that black has some edge here. h5. Suddenly the rook on g4 is a bit wobbly. Where should it go? It goes to g5. And now Hikaru comes back and attacks the pawn here. You can no longer defend it because this is checkmate. And so Wei Yi goes king h2, a huge blunder on the 40th move, blundering a pawn, but that's not a big problem. 3 versus 2 is fine. What is a bigger issue is that this exact configuration does not work. Now he has 30 extra minutes, but Hikaru is completely winning. And Wei Yi now goes king g1, because if king g3, he was losing with rook h1 and h4 coming in. So he goes king g1, rook check, a good move. King comes up to f2. And now rook h1, another classy move by Hikaru. If Hikaru can get h4 here and then somehow start attacking the g2 pawn, he would be completely winning. He's actually completely winning here. Wei Yi gets on the defensive. He goes rook a2. The king comes up to g7. And now rook to e5. He brings his rook here. He wants to get his rook to the 7th rank. And now the easiest way for Hikaru to play for a win is to go h4. To take away this square. And he would be better. Let's say h4, rook e7, rook f1, and then h3 coming in. Everything is actually falling apart there. He goes king h6. He's keeping the advantage still. Rook comes back to e2. And now a very important move here could be just king g5. King g5 followed by f5, h4. These are the moves you need to make, but Hikaru makes a mistake. He goes rook f1 check. And this is not a good move because it allows the white king to come up. King g3. And maybe Hikaru is okay with this, but objectively, he's already botched up the win. So difficult to win these positions because they require ultra precision if you want to achieve it. And you can see Hikaru there just completely zoning in. He's trying to find something there. And now he goes king g5. He plays this a move too late. And now imagine that white wastes time and plays rook c2. Then h4 is just checkmate. King moves and rook h1. So you have to be careful. He goes rook a4. Now h4 will be met with rook takes h4. So you can begin with rook h1. Replace it with the idea of h4 coming up. And now the only defensive move is rook e4. And Wei Yi, does he find it? He actually finds it. Amazing. And now for Hikaru, maybe the only way to make progress is rook b2. He's trying for this h4 check. Rook takes h4, rook takes h4, rook takes h4, rook g2. And then winning the king pawn endgame. But rook a b4 is such a nice move. Because now if h4, take, just rook takes b2 falls. And this is just a draw. So now, look at Hikaru there. He's like, oh, completely made a mess of it. You can already hear his kind of sighs of despair there. Hikaru is like, I almost had him there. He's unhappy. He's totally unhappy there. And Wei Yi as calm as one can be. And Hikaru Nakamura. The problem for Hikaru is that wherever his rook goes now, the white rook will follow. Wherever. Until you don't trade it, it'll keep moving. And once the rooks are traded, it's 3 versus 2 with single rook. There is no mating attack. And it is a draw. And look at Hikaru there. He's not even in the frame. He's just lying back. And he's so upset here. He's super upset. It's the second time this is happening with Hikaru in this tournament. Already with Fabi it happened once. He was shaking his head for so long. I think these tournament games are very, very tough for him. And now he takes on b4. Rook takes. And now it's just a draw. I mean, even though white can try a bit with h4, king f2. Without two rooks, there's no mating attack, nothing. And it's just a draw. Wei waits, rook a4. Hikaru brings his rook to the other side. Rook c4. And Hikaru here. And he's looking at his score sheet, trying to find where he could have made an improvement. Now he waits rook a1. Rook b4. Wei is not going to make a mistake here. He plays rook d1. Rook a4. Waiting still, hoping that Wei Yi goes wrong. Rook c4. Wei Yi is patient. He can do this all day. And Hikaru gives a check. King drops back. And now, in order to make progress, plays h4, h3, but takes f4. And h4 check. Now, everything gets traded quickly. Rook takes f4, king g3, he gives another check, I guess. Wei Yi. 60 moves have been completed, king f3, rook takes g6, and the players agree.
Instead of a rook f1, king g5 should just be winning. No, because at the end, I mean, if I play f5, you rook h4, rook a2, and it's still maybe a draw. Yeah, then rook hf1. King e3, check, rook e2, and... no, king h5, king f4 maybe. b6. No. No, now you have rook b6 and it's probably a draw. Yeah, I don't know if that's... Of course, earlier if you go rook g3, it's a draw. Instead of rook g5, rook g3 is a draw. So if I play after rook e4 instead of rook b2, if I go f5. So instead of rook b2, rook b4, if I play f5, you go rook h4, yeah. Yes. And then rook g1, rook a2, and yeah, it's still a draw, yeah. Yeah, it's still a draw there. I think after rook e4 it's what that draw. Yeah, no, that's why I have to go king g5 first. But if I go king g5... I have to go down. Yeah, rook b2, rook f1, king e3 like this. Yes. If king h4, king f4 should be a draw, yeah?
Yeah.
I think. King h4, king f4, like rook b1 now maybe, or rook c1. If I just start playing this endgame, rook c1, probably rook b5.
Take on b1.
No, but I mean I'll put the rook on c1. So rook c2, rook b1,
Yeah.
rook b2.
Yes.
Takes and rook g1.
And I can take on b1.
No, okay, so rook b2. So I just take everything and play rook g1. Like this. Because now the king on f4 is misplaced in this endgame. Now this might be winning. Maybe not, because you still can. No, but you can probably play some rook a7 and it's still probably a draw, right?
Yes.
a7, g5, king e3, king e3. Takes.
Maybe rook e1. Rook e5.
Yeah, maybe some chances. No, but still, then you get some f4. Ah, no, then I can check and play g4, maybe. No, I mean it's very close probably after king g5,
Yes.
but.